We begin in South Orange, New Jersey, August 23, 1989, at around 10:30 p.m. Shortly after police officer Bill Young, Jr. had reported for desk duty. At 11:21 p.m., a call for help came in.
Please tell me,
Hi, this is Chris Fisher at 680 Road.
Okay.
Spoken in. Would you go over here, please?
Okay.
680 Hamilton, thanks.
Right.
Before I had a chance to keep her on the phone, she hung up. So that was the only information we had, that she was in the house, and she believed that somebody was in the house with her.
I think she heard somebody still in the house.
In less than a minute, Officer Stephen Andrew and Ed Schmidt arrived to check out the report of a possible robbery in progress.
We purposely parked approximately 4 to 5 houses away so we would not let the suspects know we were on the scene.
We just didn't know if they had guns on them. So we approached cautiously.
While Officer Schmidt went around to the back, I approached the front door.
Hurry, quick, they're robbing the house. They're upstairs with my husband.
I heard Sergeant Andrew calling me, and I ran towards the front of the house and at the front door.
I looked back, and a second suspect came down the stairs, and then I went after him. Officer Schmidt was just getting to the rear yard, and that's when we grabbed the second suspect.
Hold there. All right, I'm on my way there.
John Monsees was the third officer to arrive.
Officer Muncie never made it to the actual house where the robbery occurred. He had picked up the foot pursuit right from there.
Hold it right there. Going towards Holland Road.
I wasn't too sure which unit was trying to transmit, but for whatever reason, we were getting static.
Walked out to Orange car, shot fired. Reported as shots fired. Eddie, are you okay?
I thought I would find someone holding a gun, or maybe in the bushes, waiting for one of us to follow. But I looked around the corner and found Officer Monsees.
When we continue,
I actually realized that John could be dying, and there was nothing I could do.
Right, Lieutenant. Ambulance and medics are en route.
there were no witnesses when the robbery suspect, struggling to escape, shot the police officer. But Sergeant Stephen Andrew was the first to find the body of his fellow officer, John Monsees, lying on the ground.
Where you hit, John?
I saw a small hole in his police shirt and blood coming out of his back.
John and I were very close when we were riding together. I introduced him to his wife, Margaret. It was like a sinking feeling inside of me. Because 20 minutes before, we were standing in the locker room getting dressed. I actually realized that John could be dying, and there was nothing I could do.
Members of the South Orange Volunteer Rescue Squad were immediately dispatched to the scene. From several miles farther away, an advanced life support unit was also sent.
It was seconds later that the rescue squad called in the service, and John's wife, Margaret, who was driving that night, was the one that called 17's in service.
77, I want a confirmation. He was shot in the shoulder. Okay, I got an officer down here with a chest wound.
We still were not sure at that time who it was, but you could tell that there was some kind of tension in their voice, that it was a little bit more than a usual call.
I knew I couldn't stop the ambulance, that we had to get it to John, because we had to get him to the hospital.
7 to the headquarters. Go ahead. I want an ambulance, I want the medics here right away. I got an officer down with a chest wound. Right, Lieutenant, ambulance and medics are en route.
I pictured the worst. I pictured that John was down with a gunshot wound in the chest. He was unconscious, and that he was losing a lot of blood.
Within minutes, the volunteer rescue squad arrived to treat the officer who had been critically injured.
I thought Margaret knew that John had been shot. And I met her and said, "Take it easy, don't worry." And she apparently didn't know it was John at that point.
EMT Mike Minch was in charge of the scene.
I could tell from the wound that it had to come pretty close or damage some vital organs. And that's what I was concerned about.
All right, it's on the way, okay?
The third volunteer EMT on the ambulance was Barbara O'Neill.
We got to the backyard, and really all we saw was a male lying on the ground, face down. And at that point, Margaret and I mouthed to each other, "Who is it?" Because it was dark and we just couldn't really see anything.
Somebody said, "Take it easy, John." And that's when we first realized that it was John. It looked like he was dead. I never expected anything like that to happen. I can't describe the feeling that goes through you when you see your husband laying on the ground like that.
Okay. Hang in there, brother. Hang in there. Got him?
It was difficult because I wanted to be there for both of them, and basically we had to push Margaret aside for a minute and just take care of John.
Okay, not going to wait for him. Hurry up with that stretcher.
There's no way of controlling or judging how much he was bleeding internally. And I was really concerned that we were going to lose John at that point.
Their vehicle carried only the most basic equipment. The advanced life support unit with vitally needed IVs had not yet arrived. They decided they could not wait, that John's only hope for survival was to get to the hospital as soon as possible.
His color was terrible, and there was just blood everywhere. And I was really afraid he was going to die. The only thing we could do was just try to keep him awake and conscious until we got down to the hospital. It seemed like forever.
A gunshot wound.
Within 5 minutes, they arrived at University Hospital, where a team of doctors and nurses were waiting to treat John.
27 years old. Gunshot wound.
Okay, gunshot wound, left chest, one wound.
I wanted to just go hold his hand, just to let him know that I was there. But they wouldn't let me go in. I had to stay out of the way so they could take care of him.
See what his body is. Let's get line over here. Sorry.
Cardiothoracic surgeon Shlomo Gabay was called in to examine John.
The bullet went through the lung and probably was no farther than 1/8 of an inch from the heart.
It took 3 hours of surgery to stop the bleeding and repair John's punctured lung.
You can say he was lucky. A 10-degree difference. The bullet will have probably gone through the heart, and then it will probably have killed him.
Who's going up?
It's been 2 years since the shooting. John Monsees has completely recovered from his injuries.
Looking back on it, probably the biggest thing I remember is just laying in this yard hoping that somebody was going to find me.
When they told me when they came out of the operating room that it only missed his heart by a centimeter, the only thing I could think of was that he's got to be the luckiest guy in the world.
5 months after the shooting, John returned to active duty with the South Orange Police Department.
I give John a lot of credit for being able to come back to work. In the beginning, he thought that something was wrong with him because he was shot with his own gun. And I told John that he had nothing to be embarrassed about, that he did his best, and he almost laid his life down on the line.
The suspect who shot Officer Monsees was arrested the next day. Both men were convicted on multiple counts and sentenced to lengthy prison terms.
A lot of people figured I was going to leave, but my heart was actually in staying. I had to go back, you know. It's something that I just can't resist. It's an adventure.
Next,
Something just told me to get up and go outside and check on the kids. And there lay Nicholas face down. He was just limp as a rag and just stretched out.